Good morning and welcome to CamLogic's Tech Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about the Solid Edge 3D Sketch functionality, use, and other features that utilize the 3D Sketch functionality. Today I am William Hall, subbing in for Rory Fox. I am one of the AE team leads here at CamLogic, and I have over 6 years of support for technical and pre-sales endeavors here at CamLogic. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to look at the 3D Sketch creation and functionality, as well as looking at where we can use 3D sketches. And we're going to look at some functionality that uses it, such as the frame and Xpresroute tools inside of Solid Edge. Now, today we're going to spend most of our time in Solid Edge, so we're going to jump out of that and into the Solid Edge environment. So, first I'd like to talk about where 3D Sketch is located. It is available in both ordered and synchronous environments. It's available to us in our home Sketch tab under the Sketch group. To activate a 3D sketch in the ordered environment, choose 3D Sketch, or in a synchronous environment, just go to the 3D Sketch group and choose tools from there. When activating 3D Sketch, you can access the 3D Sketch environment, which will give us access to setting up planes, 3D drawing, and relationship tools, as well as having IntelliSketch options similar to 2D Sketch and dimensioning tools. To start drawing in 3D Sketch, choose any of the 3D draw tools, such as the point, circle, line, arc, or rectangle tools. By selecting one of these tools, we'll be given two sets of tools on our view window. First, you'll see that my cursor has additional lines showing the X, Y, and Z axes. And we also have a second coordinate system here, and this is a coordinate system tool that can be used to lock planes that we're drawing on, called the Orient Express. To start drawing, click on a point, and we'll be given access to draw on one of the three planes. By moving along a vector, you'll see it highlights on our Orient Express, so along the X, Z, or Y vectors. Or I can lock to any of these axes or planes by clicking on them on the Orient Express. So for instance, locking to the ZY plane will let me draw on the ZY plane in my drawing environment. At any point, I can switch by coming and clicking on a different plane on the Orient Express, and now I'm drawing along a different plane. So as I continue to draw, choose additional views or axes to place down. For instance, vertically up. And we'll come back on the XY. So here I have just a basic sketch. I do have the functionality to come in and make changes by manipulating points or choosing to build in relationships, whether from our IntelliSketch or from dimensions. Clicking on a line will let me come and put one in. Or if I want to add additional features to this, such as a fillet on a 3D curve, select the two curves I'd like and place a 3D fillet. This is not constrained to any 2D plane, such as this. I can work a 3D fillet in at a 3D plane as well, going in 3 different directions without any problems. So once I'm done, I can close out of my 3D sketch, and I can use it to define different features in the Solid Edge environment. Let's take a look at some of the things we can do. First, let's look at what we can do as far as something like a sweep. Here I've got a predefined profile, and I've got a predefined 3D sketch. So here you see we can click on the sketch, make changes to it if we would like to, no problems at all. So in our modeling environment, I'm going to choose to create a sweep, choose 3D sketch as our path, and this outer profile to define the sweep. And then I'm going to do another sweep using the same profile to do a cutout on the interior of that. Now at any point, I can go back and make modifications to my 3D sketch and make changes to my design as I see fit. And again, I can do this in either an ordered or a synchronous environment. Let's take another look at this from an assembly environment using our frame tool functionality. Here I've got another predefined 3D sketch. I'll activate frame. And in here, by selecting our frame tool, I'm going to choose our 3D path. I've already got my tubing defined, so I'll go ahead and click OK, and it'll create framing along that path that I've defined with 3D Sketch. If I want to come back and make a change to this, I can select the 3D Sketch, choose to edit the definition. We'll just put a dimension on there. Make changes, close out a 3D sketch, and it automatically updates my sweeps, or in this case, my frame. Frame. Now, some other tools that take advantage of this are tools like the routing and harnessing functionality or the Xpresroute tools for tubing and wiring. Here I've got a sort of a predefined environment. I can come in and choose my 3D sketch tools and start defining points between different key locations. For instance, I'll come in and I will start drawing, choosing my Orient Express to define locations. We'll just place it. Where's my coordinate system? And I can relocate the points after I've done so. Lock to a plane. We'll go vertically up. Lock to the XZ plane. Move across. And then finally lock in the XY plane. Now I can also use, instead of defining my own paths, I can use a tool called Xpresroute, which will use 3D Sketch in combination with Path Express. What this will allow me to do is choose start and end points and try to determine the best path based off of my two selections. So here it's gone through, giving me selection 1, and I can use the next tool to look at multiple path options. Be sure to look in all dimensions, because depending on your option, you may or may not intersect with other parts. When you click Finish, it will create that path that you can then use. Once these paths have been defined, you can use them to drive features and part design in your assembly. That is something to note. The Xpresroute functionality is an assembly level tool. It's not something you're doing at the part level. So now once we've got, you'll see once we've defined a tube, you can choose to select either our user created path or one defined from our Path Express tool. I can choose to preview that. It'll show me what that path will look like, and you can determine whether or not it gives you bends that are handled in the options here for your tube, or if you want to take right angles at these corners. Go ahead and click Finish, and at this point I can continue on making additional tubes between different points. All right. Whenever you create a feature with these. The 3D sketch will be separate, so you can always access your 3D sketches. If you use Path Express, however, that is embedded to the part, so that will not be selectable outside of that. Beyond that, for the most part, 3D sketching works very similar to 2D sketching. So making a change to an existing one. Being able to put 3D constraints, such as connecting two lines, making lines parallel or perpendicular, equal length, or being able to use your other constraints such as tangent, horizontal, vertical, concentric, or collinear, just like you would in a two-dimensional sketch. So here we have an example. I can say come and grab the parallel and choose these two lines to define those as a parallel relationship. We also have a trim function and being able to create arcs in the 3D environment that work just like they would in the 2D environment. So being able to select lines to trim them is capable. So here we have an example where I wanted to trim out those two additional lines I put in there. I can come back in and choose to connect the two endpoints of those now. Finally, I'll go ahead and put a last round on that. And absolutely, you can come in and define radii for that. I'll throw one last dimension on here, just so we can do that. And now at this point, we can close this, and if we wanted to either turn that into a sweep or define some sort of guide for that, you can absolutely do so. Places you may see this used, in conjunction with Frame is a great tool to use in conjunction with this. You'll see it for creating railings, or perhaps you're using it to create any sort of solid wire framing. Maybe you're using it to not a sheet metal bracket, but something being held up by cross wires that are being welded together. This is a great tool for that. And then of course anything with the Xpresroute functionality, tubing, piping, or wiring can all be utilized with the 3D sketch. All right, at this time, I'd like to open it up for any questions in regards to 3D sketch or any of the Xpresroute functionality. Okay. All right, if there are any questions, we'll be on here for a few more minutes, but if you have any questions in the future, you can email me directly at williamh@camlogic.com, or you can reach out to us at our support email, support@camlogic.com, or you can call us on our support line, 855-955-0900, and we're available at any time between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Thank you very much for sitting in, and we hope to look forward to seeing you on the next Tech Tuesday.